Hello, welcome to Happy Catastrophe. I'm Candace, and welcome to Understanding AI. This has been a video I've been wanting to put out for a while because in the coloring community, as you know, there is a big talk about what AI is, and I'd like to help folks understand what it is so that you can come to a conclusion for yourself, whether you want to have those AI images in your collection. All of this will become clear very soon, but we're going to answer a few questions in this video. First, I'm going to do a brief explanation of what AI is. Then we're going to talk about how it is created. And then the question will come up, is it ethical? Is it art? And do you want it in your collection? Some of these questions are easier to answer, some of them are hard, and some of them are completely up to you. At the end, this is all your own opinion. I have thought a lot about it, done a lot of research, and I have my own opinion about whether I want it in my collection or not. And I'll tell you that. I won't leave it a secret. And meanwhile, what do you think about these bright yellow nails? I've been using nail polish in my pictures, and I'm like, why don't I just put some on my nails? So obnoxious and fun for spring. All right, so what is AI? AI is artificial intelligence, and it refers to anything that is created or is using some sort of smart intelligence, which it's a software program that's been written to learn as it's used and to where it sort of has a brain of its own. So once it understands how it's meant to be used, and I do recognize I'm using sort of human terms to talk about software. It isn't a brain itself. It isn't another artificial life form, but it is an intelligence. And if you think about it like Pandora, if you all use Pandora, let's say it'll ask you for a song to base a channel on, and you say, I want to listen to something, let's pick a great 80s rock band, Journey. Play a station based on Journey. And it plays a Journey song and then suggests that you thumbs up it or thumbs down it. I like Journey, so thumbs up. And then so then the software is programmed to look at all these different signatures within that Journey song. Beats per minute, the ratio of guitars to synthesizers, does it have a lead singer or not? And there's all these different genre, and whatever genre it's been listed as, and it really breaks the song down within milliseconds, goes out into the web, finds more songs that match that profile and brings them into you or into whatever songs have been licensed to play on Pandora, and it plays the next one for you. So within just a few seconds, it's gearing up more songs for you. And I don't know if you've noticed with Pandora, though, is you keep like, okay, now it's playing Def Leppard, that's good, thumbs up. And okay, now it's into AC/DC. Okay, that's a little bit too much for me, so thumbs down. And so it kind of winds its way trying to find the perfect song and to keep playing songs that you thumbs up it. Now, one thing I've noticed is it can pretty soon, if you're like, no, I want something softer, and then it's playing Hall & Oates, and you're like, wait a minute, and then pretty soon it's playing Yanni. And sometimes I found with Pandora, at least, I've had to just delete that station and start over again because it's gotten me down a rabbit hole of music that I don't want to listen to. And I can't back it up enough. And sometimes if you thumbs down enough in a row, it'll start all over with the Journey song again. It'll start over on its own. So that's the limitations of Pandora's AI software. And that is a learning software. It's an artificial intelligence. What we're talking about is artificial intelligence in making art. So let's first talk about what it does. Like Pandora, and like the artificial intelligence that backs the Pandora software, AI art software does not create its own images. Pandora does not write new songs. It goes out and finds songs to bring to you to play based on the prompts, which are the thumbs up or thumbs down, very, very, very basic prompts of what you're giving it. Now, those songs are licensed to be played on Pandora. So those people who've created those songs or have the licensing of those songs get money for those songs being played on Pandora. So they are reimbursed. What AI art does, and this is brand new, so there's no regulations yet on it, but it is in court, and there are, maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but there are some challenges to it that have been made legally. And right now it's up to businesses whether they want to support it. I've noticed that Amazon is starting to delete sellers that are selling obvious AI art, or at least AI art that's being marketed as not AI. So once it comes to their attention, they're taking them off their listings. But we will talk about that. But let's first talk about how AI creates art. So you have a software. And there are free ones. I've downloaded them and played with them just to see what it's like. The free ones off of, the Google Play or Apple, App Store are not very good. They're going to get you some crazy art, but it's kind of fun. And it is getting smarter all the time as more people use this software. It learns. So you might say something like, I want a dragon. Or let's say I give it the prompt of butterfly. So here is our internets. And all of these images are images that people have uploaded. Other people have created these images. They've been uploaded by artists, by people reposting. They're on Pinterest. They're on Google Images. They're just everywhere. And maybe they're on sale on an Etsy website, so maybe they're for sale, or maybe they've just been like, hey, look at my artwork. But none of it, whether it's licensed or not, the picture's been put up on a website. And then it's been hashtagged or it's been searched for. And what AI is, it's like any search engine. It's like a spider. You give it a prompt and it goes out and touches things on the web and finds the things that you've said. So let's say I want to draw a butterfly. So I tell AI, butterfly. And just like a Google search, it goes out and finds butterflies. Now maybe it'll find this butterfly, or maybe it'll find these butterflies, or maybe it'll find this butterfly. So maybe someone has this up on their Facebook site saying, look at this pretty bookmark I found. And maybe I got this from Sticky Sticker Club. So maybe Sticky has this up on their sneak peek of March's sticker releases. And it has this posted on their Sticky website. And maybe this is from an artist who has these up for sale in their Etsy shop. But they're all hashtagged with butterfly. So they've been posted with a search keyword of butterfly. They have a keyword somewhere. Or someone has searched for butterfly at some point and selected it. So depending on how smart the AI software is, it goes out and finds anything that's been tagged with the word butterfly, and then it brings it back to you. Now, it doesn't ask permission, and it doesn't care whether things are licensed or not. As long as it can retrieve the photo and bring it back, it brings it. Now, does it bring it back exactly like this? No, it may not. It depends on how smart it's not going to bring back an entire image where you go, oh, wait, that's so-and-so's artwork. It's going to bring back bits and pieces of it, because AI art is also smarter than your average Google search, for example. AI has kind of recognition software, kind of like when you hold up your phone and it face recognizes you, and then it lets you into your phone, and only you with your face can open your phone, or spy movies where you put your eyeball up to the screen. That's more sci-fi, although it's probably real. But like my phone now that I'm filming on, when I pick it up, it wants to recognize my face. Once we started wearing masks, I have an iPhone. Apple got smart and added the technology for face recognition to recognize me even with a mask on. So it can recognize me if I'm wearing my glasses or if I'm wearing my mask, because I've taught it. At some point there was an update, and then it said, Apple face recognition now recognizes masks. Please wear a mask and hold this up to your face. And so I did. I followed the prompts, and it taught the artificial intelligence that's in my phone to now recognize my face, whether I'm wearing my reading glasses or whether I'm wearing a mask. And now I've noticed the other night, it's smart enough that it's recognizing me in very low light, like when I'm laying in bed at night scrolling through Instagram. So it's getting smarter, being able to recognize my face. I can look away and it sort of recognizes my profile. It's getting smarter and smarter, recognizing what the features of my face are. And that's all artificial intelligence is. So depending on the program, the software you're using, more likely whether you've paid for it or not, because the paid software programs are much better, or whether you're a 12-year-old living in your mother's basement and you're just that smart and you've created your own, it'll bring back maybe this butterfly and plop it there. And then you're like, yeah, that's kind of boring. So let's say I want a butterfly sitting on a piece of watermelon. So then I might go out, find a butterfly, bring it back, and at the same time it's looking for watermelon. And this is something I've stamped and colored, and I've put it up on my Instagram account saying, hey, look at this, I did with Copic markers with the keyword watermelon, Copic markers, ink blending. And it finds that, and it brings back a piece of watermelon. Or, okay, so then I get that. I get the butterfly and a piece of watermelon, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. AI art is only as good as the software that's propelling it and the prompter. So you're like, well, this all sounds like artificial, like it's just a machine. There's no art involved. It's just like, okay, the butterfly on the watermelon is kind of boring, so I'm going to add more prompts. I'd like a depressed butterfly with a flower on a watermelon in the sky. And so then it looks like, okay, we've got Gudetama here, and he's a depressed type of guy, and depressed might have been a keyword that I used. This is a sticker I made, and maybe I put it on my Etsy shop, and I put Gudetama, Japanese icon, depressed, blah, 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 and it brings back this butt and a butterfly, and so it can do emotions too. It can do anything that is a keyword or has been searched for before, and it can get very elaborate. And this could be the sky it brings back, and this could be the flower it brings back, or this could be the flower. And all these flowers, all these images belong to someone else. But AI is just going and just taking that chunk of that image and then putting it together into something. Now, let's talk about, is it art? Now that we understand kind of how AI works, it's like a little spider collecting things for you and putting it together in one image, kind of Frankensteining it together. Is it art? Now, I've watched several AI artists' YouTube videos and other videos defending their art, and I get it. There is human input put into it because you have to be very clever with your prompts to come up with something. So maybe you're playing with the software and just seeing what the software can do, or maybe you have an art style that you want to be, and you want to create an entire book with this style. So you have to sort of fine tune your prompts until you get an image that you like. And maybe you don't choose to, maybe you use that as your core image and then you draw around it. Maybe you add some of your own flair to it, and maybe you don't. So we have to discuss, is art only when we manually put something into it, or can it be intellectual? You know, an artist, a writer writes a book, whether they write it in pen and paper, dictate it into their iPhone, type it on a computer, have someone else write it. These are all writing. So do I have to put pen to paper, paintbrush to paper to be an artist of coloring book images, if we bring it down to us, where we are? Or can it be enough to be called art that I am putting all this thought into it and composing? So if you think about it like collage, is collage art? A lot of scrapbook artists and mixed media artists say yes. Are you asking permission from every single magazine that you cut those images out to use them in your art? And a lot of collage artists most would say no, but I'm altering it enough so it's now become my art. So where's that line? How much do you have to alter someone else's image to where it's no longer theirs or even recognizable as theirs? It's now mine. So mixed media artists may cut out a flower but then they distress it and they put lace over it and then vellum and they stamp a saying over it. And eventually when they're done, it doesn't look like my flower. I colored this flower. I paid for the stamp. I stamped it out. I paid for the markers that I used to color this flower, and I colored this flower and this frog. So if I post it on open media, is it still mine? A. And B, can someone take it and use it in their image and call it theirs? Most people will say, no, that's stealing. But what if they altered it enough that you couldn't recognize it anymore as mine? Is that stealing? Or are they just using it as a reference, but physically actually using it? Artists copy all the time. We use reference images all the time. We have coloring books where one side is completely colored and the next side is that same image not colored. And you're encouraged to use this as a reference. And many of us outright copy it. I've seen amazing coloring jobs from you, people who are here on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for coming and spending time with me, who have taken an image that's already colored and colored it exactly the same. So is it your art? If we define art by saying that I'm physically putting something into it, then yeah, because I physically did that. But I didn't mentally put as much into it because I'm just copying their ideas. It's not my ideas. Yet in AI, we're taking things that already exist. We're not creating those things, but the thing that we create at the end is our idea. So I think it gets really tricky if we try to say AI is not art, because what I heard from these YouTube artists who defend it is they say this is no different than any other new art form that has come into creation throughout history that has caused people stress and anxiety, and saying it's ruining art forever. I don't think it's ruining art forever. I think it's another form of art. It's a digital art form. I do, because they're putting their ideas into it. They're coming up with a melancholy butterfly on a piece of watermelon floating in the sky. They're just not creating the individual images that the software has gone out and collected. So the final image, if we can say that collage becomes the collager's image, and that's their intellectual and creative property, then I think we have to accept AI as their creative property as well. I think those two are very similar. But let's talk now about our next question, which follows on the heels, is it ethical? A collage artist often doesn't turn around and sell their collage as something new. It's usually put into a larger thing, a larger creation, whether they sell it or not. I think that might be where the difference is AI art is just the collage. The images are hacked up, put together, and then sold as this person's creative endeavor. Where the unethicality, I'm not sure the English, comes in, that's paint, is none of these people were asked their permission to use their image. Often in AI art, we can't recognize the various parts of the image as being, oh, that's Hannah Carlzon. Oh, that's Joanna Basford. Oh, that's mine. We can't recognize that. But you will see AI art has very similarities with each other because they're all pulling from the same images. And so you'll see, especially, and we'll talk about this and how to detect AI art, the eyes. The eyes are very, very similar. So is it ethical? I think this is a personal judgment call. I can tell you that I waffle back and forth on this. I don't want to hold any secrets back. There's no reason you don't need to know. You can't know my opinion. I kind of think it isn't. Because the difference I feel between cutting images out of a magazine and going onto someone's possible Facebook profile and taking an image of their child's face, I think there's different levels of permission with that. I think AI software is really indiscriminate, and that's where the problems are coming with it. Whether you think that's an art form at all, that's worthy of your money and your time, that's one question. The other question is it ethical? So some people say, I love these images. They're so cute. Great. Okay. So you have decided that even though it's AI, it is art and it's something, or maybe that question doesn't matter to you. It's something worth your money and you're going to pay for it and you're going to color it and enjoy it. So then we have to ask ourselves though, as stewards of humanity and the earth, is it ethical? If I am an ethical person, can I ethically color these images that I know no one is given permission to use? And the reason I waffle is my answer, of course, as a human being, but especially as a Buddhist nun, is I would never want to support that. However, these images are so distorted that you can't, they're only taking pieces of them and putting them together. You can't relate these eyes back to my child's picture on Facebook. You just can't. No one's going to make those leaps. Like, oh, that's the nose that Hannah Carlzon used in her image of this fairy in that book. I don't think you can do that. And I do think some AI artists do a great job of using AI to make a signature style so that when you look through the book, and I will show you examples of this, the images look like they're all from one artist. They don't look all cut up and mangled. There are also AI books that are the exact opposite of that, and that I consider pretty much utter garbage because all it is hacked up images, and I have one of those to show you as well. So we'll get into examples. But it's up to you to decide whether it's art, and it's up to you to decide on your scale of being ethic, is it ethic? Because there are people who copy other people's art since the dawn of time. Copying is a form of learning. We copy other people's techniques. I often comment on Kat and Paste's Instagram pictures that I want to be able to do what he or she does. And if they did a tutorial, if I was following, I would do it exactly the way they were doing. My picture would probably turn out, if it was any good, at least reminiscent of exactly of what they did, until I learned to get their technique. And then I would have to take that though and make it more mine, because otherwise I am just continuing to copy them. But there are whole artists who copy a style until it becomes their own, and then that's their style. And they've been since the dawn of time, since art began. So do we own our art once we put it out there? Yeah. So these are really hard questions. But now that you know how AI is created, maybe you can think about it and answer those questions on your own. So whether you think it's ethical or not, and whether you think it's art or not, let's discuss whether we want it in our collection. Okay. Let's first look at AI that's not pretending to be anything but AI. This might be an easier decision for us, whether we want something like that in our collection. So I have this one, Creepy Collections, Forgotten Dolls and Discarded Things by Daydream Art. Many of you have this one. There's an older one and a new one, I think. The newer one, it looks very interesting. It's clowns or something. This doesn't pretend to be anything but AI. It's not, there's no artist listed. It's a company, Daydream Art, which is a big clue. When there's just a company and no artist. Another big clue is this obviously looks like a collage, right? They're not trying to make this into one unified image. We're not fooling anybody in this. These are things that they've gone out and said, I want an owl earring. I want a, one-eyed doll. I want a light bulb or whatever those things are. Some things, the hardest thing in this book I found is I can't tell what's what. It's heavily grayscaled, it's Amazon paper, but I don't have a problem with this because they're not marketing themselves. I don't have a problem with this being not a valid coloring book. I still have to make up my own mind about the AI thing because if you ask my opinion, I think it would be very easy to identify my own artwork because these have not been modified. These have just been pulled together and chunked together. I think there's a good case for calling this, which is one of my biggest beefs with AI, is lazy. Although this isn't the laziest AI book I have worse. But I can grant that this is a piece of collage. And if I can say that collage is art and that it's okay, it's ethical to sell your own collage as art, then I can accept this. That's a decision that every person has to make. This book is confusing and disturbing, but it's because they have pieced together. This is Frankenstein's monster for real. This book is. So as you can see, this is AI undisguised and completely proud to be AI. I can respect that. I can respect that they're not passing this off as someone's artwork, someone's original artwork, although an AI artist would say this is original. There is no way that the person who created this bauble put it together like this. This is someone's image, you know. You can even argue that this is what we do in therapy, right? We like, maybe this is someone's therapy. They've collaged together. However, the difference is I don't make a collage in therapy and then turn around and sell it. But I don't know. Do we have to reference every little piece we, air quote, borrow? Excuse me, I have allergies today. The sun finally came out, and of course, boom, allergies. But I find these images beautiful. However, I struggle. I struggle with, is this ethical to color this? Do these people, this is what the court cases are now about. And I guess they're going to have to, and I imagine a good defense lawyer for any of these artists would also tear apart things like collage and stuff like that. Mixed media, people use mixed media and then sell it on Etsy. Like, where do you draw the line between when you have to get permission to use someone else's image? How much of the image does a person have a right to? Is the whole image mine and you can't use any of it? Then that may bleed into a lot of other art forms too. And then do you extend it to copying? What if this is my image, but it looks exactly like somebody else's because I copied it? You know, we internet sleuths get all over that when we find an image that someone is selling that looks just like Hannah Carlson's art. Or we're really suspicious when we buy someone's coloring book and it looks like another one's, like with Lainey Dow, who has been in the hot seat a lot about his images looking a whole lot like Spooky Girl, like Coco Wild's Spooky Girl. And was he just copying? And a lot of people really blacklisted him for that. I think the community has decided that he just was copying a style, or maybe even had the same style. I talked to someone who actually knows that person. It's a real person, and has talked to them and said they weren't trying to copy Spooky Girl. Here's also the hands. Now, I know we've seen videos of people saying you can tell by the hands it's AI. I don't think you need a funky hand to know that this particular book is AI. But yes, AI is not yet smart enough to get small digits right. Feet, hands, noses, eyes, things like that are usually not correct. One thing I can admire about this book is that it looks like they took great care in the placement of where things are. Like this artist is more interested in composition and the fact that the entire book has a unified theme. It looks like the same person used certain prompts to create these images. That they weren't just like, they were thoughtful about their prompts and they were using the same sort of prompts to make this whole book very unified. Look at those fingers. And I think those are probably eyeballs. You'll also see in AI eyeballs and nostrils in various weird places, and I'll show you examples of that. Here's one I colored just to see what it was like. And I had a lot of fun coloring this. I used alcohol markers, and I got to play with what alcohol markers do with grayscale. And I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I even posted it back before. This was all before I even knew what AI was. I've had this book for a very long time. And I have decided personally, bleed through. It was before I understood bleed. Excuse me while I hiccup. Before I understood bleed through. And then this is an image from the Sugar School Beauties. Now this one bothers me more. The difference, I think, between, like, say this is people's images that it's gone out into the web, got these images, and someone has collaged them together. We're not pretending this is someone's art. This is definitely AI, and this looks like they're trying to pass this off as a drawing. And how can I tell this is AI? The different line types will give you a clue. You know, her neck is a little different than her eyes, which are different than the flowers. It's like different line types within the same picture. If you bring up in your mind the concept of collage or putting things together, can you look at this and go, oh yeah. Often the eyes don't look like they're drawn. They look like they're cut and pasted. But there's also something called an uncanny valley. And I don't know if you've heard about uncanny valley. Here's another one. This is made to look like it's someone's piece of art, but it's AI. And it was a coworker of mine when I was talking about this with them at work one day, because heaven help me, I do anything work related at work. And I said, why does AI art make me so uncomfortable? It has nothing to do with ethics or anything. I just don't like looking at it. Same reason I don't like movies that are heavy with CGI. Like, I've never gone and seen the Avatar, and I never will. That kind of heavy CGI movie really bothers me. It makes me a little nauseous, and it bothers my eyes. I actually close my eyes, and it's hard to explain. And I asked my friend, like, why does looking at this make me kind of ill feeling? And he said it's the concept of the uncanny valley. That from our visual and interpretive experience of growing up, we have an idea of what is real and what is not. You know, this is why Roger Rabbit was such a big deal back in the day, if I'm dating myself, is that it started to bring cartoon and reality closer. But they were still obviously cartoon, obviously a real life person. They were just interacting. It was just a really cool filming technique. Didn't really bother people. But as that got closer and closer, and now we're getting like, is it animated or is it a real person? It looks real, but it's moving oddly like an animated character, or it's animated, but wow, it really seems very realistic. That seems to cause in many people a feeling of unease, and it goes beyond discomfort. It's like just ill feeling, like you can't make these two things go together, and that's the valley. So what happens is this isn't an uncanny valley for me. It looks real, but it's not real enough, but it's trying to mimic being real, like it's a real drawing and not collage, but it's collage enough that it's not fooling me. And there's something about it that actually makes my stomach upset. It's very strange. But this is how I can tell when something's AI, even when it's hard to explain. And I think our uncanny valleys are different. I think some people have no problems with that, or maybe that kind of uncomfortable feeling is fun for them. You know, for me, it's and it could be because I do lead a bit of a hermit life. Work is the only time I ever see people, and I don't see very many people. Being a Buddhist nun, I lead a very quiet, low stimulus life, and I am an HSP, a highly sensitive person. So there are a lot of things about images that bother me that I have to be careful with. It has nothing to do with it being creepy or scary, but to me, this is okay because it's so obviously not real. It's so obviously just a collage. But this makes me not feel good. So that's another way you can decide. So as I'm showing you these books, we've now in my mind, this video was very organized and we were answering questions. It seems like it's kind of become very fluid and morphy, and that's just me. I'm fluid and morphy and fluffy. Let's talk about now one who I think is all over the news right now, and that's Black River Art. Shame on Carlin Douglas, right? Because Carlin Douglas is a real person. Black River Art. If you go on the website, they make it look like Black River Art is the company and Carlin Douglas is their main illustrator. However, haven't we always known that these are AI? So one way to tell is that the person, and the reason I have two, I'll explain. One way to tell is the person that did this. That's the same person that did this, and the same person that did this. That's not even a cohesive style. I wouldn't be able to see this on the web and go, oh, that's Carlin Douglas. But each one of these books is themed, and they are consistent throughout the book. The reason I have two of these is that I meant to order, this is before I understood these were AI. I meant to order this one and I ordered this one instead. I meant to get the pocket size. So then when I went to return it, they're like, no, just keep it. And that's another thing I find out with a lot of AI books. They won't make you return them. They're just like, just keep it. They're so cheap. And that's another sign. Really, really cheap books are almost always AI. So let's put this little one aside because it's easier to look at these. Let's look at what Carlin Douglas is doing. Now, I think these images are fun. They're grayscale, they're fun to color, yes. But I am not happy that they were passed off as an artist's work. He didn't draw these. These are put together with prompts of AI, and however, this is my love-hate relationship with Carlin Douglas. He took care to make them into a cohesive style within the pages of each book, into something that's, really beautiful, has a theme. It's not like the book we just looked at by Daydream Art that's just like chunk, 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 chunk. This is an actual theme. But this is where, in my belief system and where I lie on the spectrum, we get into ethicality. Because now we're passing this off as my original art. And none of these things are his original art. They're just, he's come up with a collection of prompts that create these sorts of looking people and these sorts of looking creatures. And then he repeats that prompt so that his characters look alike. But he's not drawing these things. Like, he didn't draw that donkey. He didn't draw that bear. And you say, yeah, but that bear looks like another bear. Or this person with the big head and the little neck looks like the rest of the people in the book with big heads and little necks. Which is how we get fooled into thinking that this is someone's completely original piece of art. But it's because what an AI artist says is they spend a lot of time working with prompts, getting back results, fine-tuning it, like the Pandora thumbs up and thumbs down, they're to get a certain look. And then they use those same prompts throughout the series of the book or whatever to create a piece of artwork that really they've put a lot of effort in. A lot of time has spent in sending the search engine out to go find more images, cutting and pasting them together, maybe blurring some edges to make them all look like they go together. So there is a lot of their own hand in this. I mean, if you just put them all together, chunk, 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 without anything else, it would look like the book we just looked at. What he did here was he put things together and then he put it into a program where he could warp it and blur edges and darken and lighten. And, he put the eye in there, but then I'm sure he did some work around the window to make that eye blend. And so there's a lot of his hand in here. There's just someone else drew these images. So see why it's a gray area. It's not, they're sweet, cute images. They don't look like anybody else's artwork. He's put a lot of care into putting these things together, and he's manipulated them See these little butterflies? Those look like the exact same butterflies that were on my postcard. See, so that maybe they're the same butterflies. Maybe the person who made that postcard went out and got butterflies and got the same butterflies. But what bothers me is that nowhere on Amazon, Carlin Douglas page, they're on the website, there's a picture of him there. He's got, a social media presence. It doesn't mean he's a real person, really, but I think he is. But nowhere do they say they use AI. And it wasn't clear to a lot of us that this was AI, but then more books started coming out, and really quickly. And it was like, whoa, this is completely different. Now, to me, this is even more AI. I mean, it's like, why are these flowers so bright and these legs so light and this wood so... I mean, it's like the line is... Despite the sick feeling I get in my stomach, I can also look at this and say, look at the different levels of grayscale. It's not cohesive, and the different levels of clarity. This grass is stark where this is not. It's almost, you can see the collage happening here. This wasn't as manipulated in Photoshop or whatever software, but these images are beautiful. I can imagine this colored very beautifully. And I would be more inclined to color in this book and to keep this book if they had been more honest about it. To me, it feels very deceptive to try to pass this off as Carlin Douglas's artwork. If Black River Art had called it Black River Art and never named an artist, I think this would stay in my collection. But I'm not happy with Carlin Douglas. And then we have this one, which is, again, Black River Art, Carlin Douglas. And I started coloring in this, thinking, God, that just seems so AI. And I even talk about this book on a video where I'm like, I'm not sure, because the line with heaviness is kind of, well, this one, it's not. It's not uniform, but there's such a real style. The hands are kind of weird proportionally, but there's the right number of fingers. But then again, these are monsters, so maybe they do have 6 fingers. See, that's another way AI gets away with being AI. It's like, well, it has 3 eyes, but it's a monster, right? So maybe it's supposed to have all those eyes. Maybe it's supposed to have, but and like this, there's nothing at the ends of their limbs, but maybe it's supposed to be that way because it's a monster. To me, that's lazy, a little bit lazy AI. It's like, well, let's just call it a monster. But I liked these images when I first got this book, and I wanted to color it. I thought it was different. It was something different from all the kawaii princessy stuff that was really out there and wasn't really my style. But then I got the other Carlin Douglas books, and I'm like, there's no artist who draws this differently. This is, and then I got to really looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, there's something about the heaviness of the line art and just the mishmash of collage things around it, and then I started looking closer and saw limbs that didn't go anywhere. And I'm just like, and the final straw was me actually pulling the other Black River Art books out and saying, this isn't one artist doing these 3 books. And the fact that they tried to fool us that it was, that bothers me. So Amazon has pulled Black River Art's work from Amazon. I don't know what happened. Maybe I don't know if that's their policy. I don't know what their policy is towards AI. There are plenty of AI books on Amazon, and everybody seems to be getting into it. Unfortunately, even Coco Wyo, their latest Spooky Cuties, that's all AI. And that really upset me to see Coco Wyo going to AI, because that's the first book I've seen of theirs that really looks like it. And you can tell it's the eyes in that one. But I don't know if someone's suing Carlin Douglas and they pulled their books, or if Amazon dumped them. I don't know, but you can't get these books anymore, which is probably a good thing, because those might be going into my burn pile. Let's talk about Ollie Colors. This is one I don't know. I don't know if it's AI or not. I suspect it is. But again, this one, I I don't, this one, I don't get that really sick feeling looking at it. There is the different line weights. And you see this really heavy line weight. That often means it's AI, but I've been looking at this one since I'm learning how to recognize it. And yeah, like, well, I don't know. The thing is, this could be an artist. They're just not listing them. I suspect it's AI, but I don't know if I have a problem with this book as much, because I don't think there's, I don't know if any of this would be recognizable as someone else's art, but Ollie Colors is one of those that has lots of different styles. I thought of it as another Coco Wyo, but I don't know if they're using artists or if they're using AI. I know some of you know Ollie Colors better than I do, but this book I don't mind as much. And I talk about, like, I'm acting like I'm the AI police. And within my collection, I am, because I have come to the solution, the conclusion of how I feel as we get to this last question. You know, we've answered, how is AI created? Is it art? It's a judgment call, but we have some information now to decide on our own if we think it's art or not. Is it ethical? Yeah, well, that's why it's in the courts right now. We're trying to decide, is this ethical? We've talked about its comparison with collage, and we all like to do collage. And I've given you some viewpoint from AI artists that they put a lot of effort into this, and they put their own work in it, just like Carlin Douglas did. He puts, at least in the Little Grimm world, he put a lot of work in that, although it wasn't his original images. So how to recognize it, you know that they have different they often have 6 fingers, two fingers, limbs that just stop, lines that stop and don't go anywhere. Their eyes are weird. They have, and the next one I show you will be very obvious. Eyeballs are all over the place. Maybe there's a nostril over here on the knee. There's things like that. That's really bad AI. Good AI, which might be this one, it's hard to tell. So you just have to decide once you find out something is AI if you want it. Now for me, since I can't really, I have a sliding scale on whether it's ethical or not, sliding scale whether I think it's art or not. I've been looking at each one individually. Like I can see an argument for a Little Grimm world for this one being called art because of how much work he's put into it. The next one I'm showing you, I can't find any justification for that as not, and I think it's garbage. And that's this one. And I know a lot of you have this. Lily Mae Colors. I'm getting rid of all of their books. To me, this is lazy. This is the worst AI I've ever seen. And to me, it's just lazy. And I don't need to spend money and my time on something that is this lazy. So let's zoom in so we can really see this. So what you're seeing here is things that you can't even justify that this is animals, that this is a monster. It's a monster, so that's why there's nostrils on his chins. And that's why, you know, you can't even see the background. The background isn't even really there in some places. The eyes are, another thing about AI art is you'll see that the eyes look very similar from thing to thing. Like, what is this? Like, you can't even tell what things are. Let me show you some worse ones. There's an eyeball down here. There's a couple eyeballs down here in the, it's like they didn't use very good prompts, or they just found one prompt. Like, why are there eyeballs all over? That's an eyeball. It's like they've taken their eyeball and it's just kind of been put over, and they didn't bother to edit that out. Someone like Carlin Douglas would have seen that and would have taken the time to edit out that. But this is just not even edited out. They thought they could get away with it being cute. What is this extra thing down here? Here's one that's got, yeah, I don't even know what these things are. Like, is that supposed to be an ear and it's missing one on this side? Is that its tail? Like, okay, here's a terrible one. Here's 2 eyeballs down here. And then something, what is that? It's like you can't even tell what anything is. In the background, nothing's even photoshopped to even look like it goes together. There's no mouth, there's no nose. It's just like I don't know what prompts they use, like cute, big-eyed fish, and then this is what happened. So these are all eyeballs. It's like, did you not notice that when you made this book? This one, well, I don't know what these things are. I think they're supposed to be toes, but there's one here, then three, then two, then three. This is just so bad. Okay, eyes and and a mouth. No body. There's something here, but then things just disappear. And this background is just like, it even looks better on camera. It is so fuzzy in real life, so pixelated and so fuzzy and so bad. This one's terrible. All eyeballs. Don't know what these eyes are doing. This is garbage. This is just really lazy AI. And I think they thought they could get away with it because the eyes that they do have in the correct placements are cute. But they're so generic. Okay, I don't know what all these fins are, why there are 3 fins. Maybe this is supposed to be the tail. I don't know why it has 4 nostrils or so many dots in its eyes. The choices don't make sense, and the creature doesn't make sense, and there's too much similarity. This squiggly thing is everywhere. It's like that was one of their prompts, and they ran with it, and so they're going. Like, I don't think they meant for a moon to be in the eyeball. It's like no editing. It's like a badly written book that was never edited. This it looks like it could be a bird. I don't know what it is. One of these things here. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fingers on this hand and 5 on that one. But she's holding a shell or something. She's got a funky nose. And I don't know what's wrong with that fish. This is bad. This is so bad. Okay, he has eyeballs for ears and weird fins. And I don't know, maybe either lots of noses or no noses. It's just horrible. And I can't even believe I spent $3.99 on this. I tried to return it and Amazon didn't want it back. So it's actually, I'm not even going to give this one away. I don't know how many fingers this guy's supposed to have, lots. And his nose is both upside down and right side up. This is going in the garbage. I can't even believe this was passed off as a coloring book. Yeah, eyeballs for nostrils. This is just so bad. Lots and lots and lots of nostrils. That is the worst looking starfish I've ever seen. I mean, it's a joke. It's so bad. What is that? And am I dumb? Do they think we're dumb that we're just going to fall for something that has cute eyeballs? At least 2. Now this one, what is all these things sticking out of it? It's like they couldn't even be bothered to, well, and I thought that was the shadow in my camera, but it's a shadow on the paper. They couldn't even be bothered to clean it up. They just, why the fins? I don't understand. Yeah, what are those things? Looks like 2 little noses, but they're on the sides of the mouth. Yeah, and so this is what I would say is the worst of AI. This is where AI goes way wrong, and I don't have any problems with calling these guys out, because this is just lazy AI. They found a couple prompts that got them big faced things with cute eyes. Oh, this is the girl with so many fingers. Yet her hands are weird. This one's got no hands, and I don't know what these things are. I think they're supposed to be eyelashes, but it looks like little tiny fish, maybe. What is that? I don't know. This one has a random fin down here that looks like those. It's been repeated down here, and they didn't bother to take it out. See, there's no editing done in these. And oh my God, I don't know what's, I have no words. And the fact that this company thinks that I wouldn't notice things like that pissed me off. Ugh. Look, just a random eye right there on the side. Oh, I can't do it. Look anymore. I can't. So, yuck, Lily May Colors. This is terrible. And so this is really bad AI. And then I was going through, I decided I can handle the AI from, I don't know if I'm going to keep any of his stuff. If I did, it would be a Little Grim World, or maybe, I don't know. I haven't decided. I feel like Carlin Douglas's art is better, more sophisticated, more of his own touch in it, but deceitful. He tried to pretend like he wasn't an AI artist. And I feel like this one is not trying to be anything it isn't. It's not exactly beautiful, but it's interesting. And I probably will keep this one because this is like, yeah, here's some AI art. Enjoy. They're not trying to be something it's not. So I might keep this one in my collection. Carlin Douglas, I got to think about. This one I'm going to throw as far as I can throw, which is probably into my burn barrel out back. Because this is just trying to pretend this isn't even a good job of AI. This is just lazy. And I looked through my collection, I found another Lily May Colors, and it's almost as bad. It's a little better, but I don't know what that is. It's a little better, but no, it's not staying either. I can't ethically keep this company in my collection. I mean, not only do I not want to support them, but I've already bought these, so what do they care that I throw them away? So that's technically already supported them. But now at this point, I don't want to waste my time. I have precious coloring time. And yes, I bought these, and I can't do anything about that. So they've gotten $7 out of me, which I wish they hadn't. I wish I'd done my research first. But they don't need to stay in my collection. My collection is precious. I only have room for so many books. I only have so much time, and this is not worthy of me. So they're going away. So if you were worried that I wouldn't give you my opinion, I did and I didn't, right? I don't know about books that I'm like this. Like if I ever found out that these were AI and they were trying to hide it, that would upset me. I don't want to be lied to. Be honest with me. If it's not an artist drawing these things, if it is AI, then say so. And I'll make my decision whether I want it or not in my collection. Don't try to fool me because you think I won't buy it. If Carlin Douglas had come out and said, yeah, this is AI art and here's how I make it and all the hours I put into making these images, I probably would have still bought it. So I hope that we understand AI a little better. Now that you know how it's made, you can decide whether or not it's right for you. I know I've watched all your guys' videos, and I know some of you feel like, hey, it's cute, and I color what's cute. I've seen people, say that. Quite a few of you love this book. Say it's cute, and I want to color it. And that's great. I held no judgment. I know I was really forceful about my feelings about this book, but those are my feelings. And some of you are like, no, none of it's okay because it's stealing. And that's great too. We all have to this is a new form of art that's coming into our existence. It's not perfect, but it's getting better. And most of the research I've done predicts that someday you won't be able to tell a difference between AI and someone's art. So now is a good time for you to think about it and decide where you fall on this. We've talked about how to identify it, and we've talked about the different kinds of AI art where someone put a lot of work in it, but deceived us. And so I don't know how I feel about him. People who don't pretend that it's anything but AI. Like, yeah, we found all these images on the web and put them together. Here it is. I love the honesty of that, but it's obviously, stolen images. So do I keep it or not? I actually might keep this one. We have ones that we're not quite sure. if they're AI? How do we find out? And that's a good question. Before Carlin Douglas, I would have said, do your research, make sure that the artist has a profile, make sure they're a real person. Well, there are real people behind AI art. He was just, I guess you could look at it a different way and say he was just the bravest one to put his face to it, since the others are very much like, oh, it's it's Lulu Colors. That's not a real person's name. That's just the tradition of naming a publishing company. Alice Mills, or naming a publishing company after a person's name, has really caught on, and that makes it even harder for us to figure out, is this a person or is this a publishing company, three guys in a cheap office with a really good piece of software. And again, books like this are $4. They're not making a ton of money off of it. So they're just, I don't know. It's a tough question. And we all have to decide. I'm personally hurt by Carlin Douglas, so I don't know about him. And this one I'm going to be doing more research on. Because in my world, and from my opinion, I think there is a scale of ethicality. I think I wouldn't have as much problem if the image is altered so much that you can't tell whose it is anymore. But I know some of you completely disagree with that. Like, that could be my child's face that they took off of my Facebook site. No, it's not okay. And I get that. And I think if more time is put into it, and because my ethicality is kind of like on this grayscale, if I believe that they've done it in an ethical manner and they put some time into it, these two I think have had time put into it, this in the composition and this into the whole picture, the unification of it, I think that makes it more their art, and I would be more inclined to keep it in my possession. But I will never keep something like this. That's just like, let's just put a couple prompts in, and we're not even gonna work on edit the image at all. But at the end of the day, we have so many coloring books. Some of you have, 1,000 in your collection. And so you might want to think about, I have no problem with AI and it's in my collection, or I do, and maybe those don't belong in there because I don't want to spend my time on it. Really, it comes down, this is your collection, this is your hobby. What do you want to do? What do you want to spend your precious time and your precious resources on? And I have no judgment on what you decide. For me, it's going to be some yes, some no. But I support you in your decision, whatever it is. And if you have any questions, I'll try to find answers for that. I've kind of given you all the research I have done so far, but I will continue to do more research. And I'm especially going to keep abreast on the court cases just to see where the world falls on this. I would love, and I looked, but I couldn't find it. I saw many, many more videos justifying AI from the viewpoint of the AI creator. I think they're they're very much on the defensive right now. So there's a lot of information out there like, yes, it's art. Let me tell you why. And it's no different than this. And I had to shut my Etsy shop down because people were protesting. And so there's a lot of people who are reacting to the art world's reaction to artificially intelligence-driven art. It was harder to find videos and rants, basically, because I listen to a lot of rants, for people who are against it, I think because they've already taken the offense. It's in the courts, booksellers are pulling the books. But I think AI is here. We're never going to completely get rid of it. So can we use it in an ethical way? I don't know. I'm not an AI artist. Do I want to support the books? Most of them I'd have to probably say no. I want to hear more from the art world, people who are not AI artists, how they feel, and more from the general public. Like if they took the eyes from your 5-year-old off of your Facebook page to use in their coloring book without your permission, are you okay with that? Maybe you are. Anyway, I hope this was informative. I hope that inspired you to think about it and at least understand a little more of how it's created and what the controversy is, and to go through your collections and see if you can identify. You'll get better and better at identifying what's AI and what's not. And at some point, you'll be able to when someone's doing a flip through, oh, that's an AI book and that's not. And then you can make an informed decision. Whatever your decision is wonderful. And just want you to be able to have some information and make it with informed information and accurate information, so that you can, defend your position in case anybody ever challenges you, because you're allowed to have your own opinions and you're allowed to have whatever books you want in your collection. And I love seeing them, whether they're AI or not. Your hauls are my favorite videos. So thank you for listening to this. Thank you for coming in with me today and spending some time. I haven't done a video for about a week and a half and I've kind of missed it. So you're going to see a few out. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.